All right. Hello, everyone. It's good to see everyone. Hopefully you've had a good start to conference. It's really impressive. It's my first time at AWE, so I'm a bit of a XR geek, but I've never been to AWE, so it's pretty impressive going to the exhibit halls and seeing all the brands. But today I'm going to talk a little bit about digital humans and more importantly, the impact that this new type of interface is going to have. And I think one of the really interesting things about talking at AWE is I would imagine most of us either have a very strong conviction or are inquisitive around this very thing, which is the way we interact with machines continues to evolve. And a lot of the ways that we've had to adapt in our human nature is not actually natural or even productive. I mean, an easy way to test that is go up to someone and just do this on their chest, right? It's going to be a little bit awkward. So the way that spatial computing and the way that we believe interfaces are going to affect us is more about moving towards how we're hardwired as humans. Previous speakers, I just caught the end of the last speaker, even talking about the way that we're used to being in 3D environments, but also used to having emotional connection. The way our brains work is very, very interesting. And so a very simple version of this is, we're going to skip to here, is left brain, right brain interaction. I'll jump back to the other slide in a moment. But I think this is really important because a lot of people ask me, why should we even bother with digital humans? Why avatars? We started this journey in 2016, so I got asked that question a lot because in 2016, AI wasn't a thing in the way that we all think about it today, talk about it, media is about it. But even back in 2016, I had this strong conviction after selling one of my companies. I recognized, even in video interaction, the way that people responded through a screen was very different when there was face-to-face communication. And what we discovered and continue to discover with digital humans is that the right side of our brain is functioning in a lot of areas around decision-making, a lot of areas around, do you actually value me as an individual? And a lot of these things are emotions to do with feelings, right? Left brain is logic, and this is obviously very important with decision-making and other areas. But a lot of the ways we interface with machines are very logic-driven. Information, content, search, forms, all these things that we do on a day-to-day basis today are ignoring the way that the right brain has such a strong influence in how we experience digital experiences, experience our interaction with machines. And when we start to address the right brain, there's something pretty significant. And that significant impact of actually understanding that emotion matters, understanding that there are feelings like uncertainty and doubt. So take a good example of buying something new. Now, for us that understand, maybe let's take a car, and you've already researched and you know everything you need to know about your new Tesla. You may not have any other emotion other than, I'm excited, I know what I want, I'm going to get it, and that's fine. And you can select through a number of select boxes and things that we do on websites today. But what if you weren't sure on the model? What if you weren't sure on battery range and how that was going to affect because you drive between Texas and Colorado regularly? Or what that looks like in your family lifestyle? And you've got all these questions, and what's feeding into that? Now you've actually got uncertainty and doubt. And this is where the right brain matters. If you could have an interaction where it's responsive to your needs and your language, hey, I'm worried about this. Hey, I really think this car's cool, and I love the Tesla 3, but there's a couple of things. Roof racks are a big deal for us because we like to take paddle boards on top, and also I've got to drive to Colorado at least 3 times a year. How's this going to affect me? Just normal language, normal problems, and addressing that in a way that says, hey, those are really important factors. I'm glad you brought that up. Let us talk you through some of the considerations with the right car, the right model, the right spec. That right brain impact has significant results in how it affects conversion, how it affects training results, how it impacts customer experience. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about customers who are using this in the real world. I think that's really important. Before we go there, I wanted just to show you guys a little bit around the technology, because digital humans and avatars have been in our lives in gaming, movie, all sorts of things. We've seen deepfakes in the world now. And really what I'm talking about today is 3D animation technology powered by AI. When we talk about digital humans, we're talking about real-time interaction, like right here, right now, so you can ask questions and I can respond. And we can do that in any type of modality, whether that be on browsers or kiosks, inside virtual reality, augmented reality. This is 3D interactive digital humans in real time. So that's what we're talking about. So I've got a little video here just to give an idea of what this actually looks like, how it works. So I'm going to play that now.
For decades, we've dreamed of interacting with personified AI. The idea has been popularized by books, gaming, and film, with famous examples like Data from Star Trek and C-3PO from Star Wars. With recent developments in AI technology, such as ChatGPT, realistic voice synthesis, and MetaHuman, we're now much closer to realizing that dream. But there's one critical component that's needed, and that's the ability to imbue the AI with a sense of presence and aliveness. And that's why we created Synonym, a synthetic animation system that is inspired by human behavior. Its architecture includes a combination of AI components to process contextual input and generate behavior for digital humans. At UneeQ, we believe to create truly memorable and impactful experiences, digital humans need to feel alive. They should be situationally aware. Through their perception, they're able to see the world and react accordingly. They should move naturally in a way that feels organic and alive. And they should express themselves with emotion and feeling in order to really connect with us. Every digital human is unique, and creators can take the director's chair by defining a personality for their digital human, and even directly influence interactions with inline tagging. Using Synonym on our UneeQ platform, you'll be able to create a wide range of digital humans. From product geniuses that have unlimited patience and care when helping with complex buying decisions, to teachers with empathy that guide and inspire any topic of your choice. You could even create historical figures that serve as our memories, helping us learn about and experience the past. Right now, we're only scratching the surface of what's possible. With Synonym, we're bringing the metaverse to life.
All right. So that's a little bit about the technology and what we do, and now let's talk about how this is actually impacting the real world. So we talked about left brain and right brain, right? And so then when we start to think about use cases, one of the customers we work with is Deutsche Telekom, and it was really exciting when their senior vice president stood on stage and put these metrics up on stage just to show the impact of what this could mean to any organization. So the reality is a lot of organizations are working within 0.1% in e-commerce conversion, cart abandonment rates, and then all of a sudden when we change the entire interface to be more human, to be more right brain connected, now we're all of a sudden doing things like 5.6 times higher conversion. It's nuts. It's so incredible what happens when you address people's emotional needs. You know, the craziest thing is, people have known about this for ages. It's just the digital world has not managed to take technology and address emotional needs until now, until we have AI technology that can respond in real time, be contextually aware, and have language that can do this, which I just think is crazy good. And then the customer engagement scores of like 300%. This also means that there's more traffic going through these channels than any other channel. So what does that mean? Well, it means that it becomes a very cost-effective channel for customer service and customer sales as well. So we were really excited to share these kind of metrics with the public now. The other area that you may have seen if you're following UneeQ is Qatar Airways. So when you think about airlines, customer service is one of the key areas that you differentiate your brand. Everyone expects your planes to be safe. Everyone expects a certain level of quality. And so customer service and the customer experience is where you differentiate in a major way. Obviously pricing's in the mix there too, but this is how you differentiate in value. And so, when we think about what Qatar's strategy was, it's very much around the fact that every single airline has these digital platforms that are limited in how you can interact, limited in how it feels personalized, limited in even the information that you can receive, which is sometimes just like, hey, where do I go when I get to the airport? What does it look like when I need to check in? If I've paid for a first class ticket, where do I go to get a first class experience? And so you can go into their metaverse experience, you can even walk through the airport, you can experience what first class would be like to understand the value you're getting for the ticket, and you've got this concierge digital human experience the whole way along, helping you all the way along the journey, answering questions and giving you any tips to make the experience as great as possible. And that's just the beginning. I mean, Qatar, I've already talked about now their new ticket booking systems and the way that you can even work with your own private personalized concierge for travel, which I think is very, very exciting. And so, yeah, we also had all sorts of modalities in launching. I kind of like this. I show this slide because I couldn't wait for the day that we start creating holographic experiences in the physical world as well. So when we launched Summer, we also had her in a proto box in 3D, so you could actually experience a full 3D holographic interaction, which is very, very cool. So this kind of technology, whilst it produces incredible results, there was something also stopping this becoming mainstream. And there's a lot of things that I think for many of us who are fans of XR and where this is going, there are a lot of dependencies that had to come together for this to be mainstream, for it to be frictionless, to actually be useful. And this is a big part of what we focused in on. And the reality is real time is really, really hard. So creating content is hard enough with intelligent systems. Creating content that's real-time interactive in less than a couple of seconds, that's super, super hard. So we had to go about solving a number of problems that make this really, really easy. And that's kind of what we did. We took the whole language component, which is, a language model, ChatGPT, something like that. And we were able to then connect that with what we call smart orchestration, which means you can ask a question, the large language model will have an answer, but we'll assess, is this the right answer? Is this good information? Is this on brand? And then we turn information into audio and real-time animation. And that means the digital human has a personality, it has behavior, and it's able to effectively simulate what it would be like to have a conversation with a real person. And then we connect that through all sorts of SDKs, depending on the device you're connecting with. And so how that looks like is a platform. So the goal for us was, we know that for this to work well, first and foremost, it had to be really good quality. For anyone thinking about how they are transforming their website, how they're transforming customer interaction, quality is so key. If you start going low on quality, you create friction, you create uncanny effects. I'm sure people are familiar with uncanny. If you're not, I can answer that question at the end of this. But ultimately, that weird feeling and that low quality, it's a real problem. We've seen a lot of it out there, and it's disappointing, and you don't get adoption. So quality is really, really important. The other thing is obviously simplicity. How can you deploy this? We talk about time to value, but how do you deploy it and run it so it just works really well and that teams can operate it, and it just gets better and better and better as you interact more with customers? So the pillars that we talk about is that we look at connecting to the best of class technology and combining it into our platform. So the first pillar that we loved was MetaHuman. So if you're not familiar, MetaHuman is created by Epic Games on the Unreal Engine. And it's an awesome creative product where you can create any type of digital human character. And in that, it is a model, a 3D model with a rig that's ready to go. And so our customers can build thousands of their own digital humans if they want, with different looks, styles, ethnicities, whatever you want to do, you can do in MetaHuman Creator. And that there is a free tool. So anyone can do that and create that. Once you've created your digital human, then you actually need to plug it into AI. And so the second pillar for us is this: how do you train a personality and behavior? So we've done years of R&D around different use cases. How do you have the right personality for a healthcare application versus a sales application versus an airline, culturally sensitive? So if you're an airline in the Middle East, for example, versus an American airline, all these different traits need to be configured and tuned for your target audience. And so we've turned that into a no-code experience where you can dial and change those things. But super important in the way the AI models work. Then you've got to integrate it, and that integration is normally in like your data. What's your data informing? So if it's, where does the airline fly to? What is the product specs that people are asking? You know, is this the right kind of product for my needs? So product matching and recommendation systems. All those things are important areas that the digital human, I like to think of it more like the Matrix, where, you know, Neo learns Kung Fu. You're basically plugging in data of all the different types of Kung Fu you want your digital human to know. And that's a super important part. And then the last part, as you've heard me talk about, is like, where are people going to experience this? Is it on a website, mobile? Is it going to be in virtual reality? The coolest part about now where we are with all the technology, like Unreal Engine and what we're building this on top of, is we can deploy it in so many different ways. And so we can make that super accessible to anyone on any device, but then you can go into like rich, immersive experiences. So for those with, say, like a Quest, and you can actually jump in and have these experiences on that. So that's a really important consideration when bringing these solutions together, and what we've done with the likes of Qatar and Deutsche Telekom. And so, yeah, I'm going to open up for questions, but you know, generative AI is just such a game changer now. And if you're not considering it, then it's time. It really is. The way to make massive shifts in the way that you change the way that customers get value, the way that you generate value as organizations, or even if you're a product company and you're building solutions for customers, this is the type of interface that I think is going to be super important, which is great. So I'm going to open up for questions. Now, if you don't get your question answered, that's okay. We have a booth at 4:32 as well. So happy to answer questions now, and then the team are there at the booth to take care of anything that doesn't get answered today.
Hello. Hi there. My name is Greg Panos. I'm giving a talk tomorrow on virtual immortality at 2 o'clock, and UneeQ is one of the companies that I mentioned, among a few others. This space has become very active. I've been working in this field for over 40 years, but it's become very active, and the work that you're doing is really, really amazing and groundbreaking.
Thank you.
I salute you for that. The question I have is on the personality module. It looks like you mentioned Meta AI and was it Anthropic or one of the other chatbot platforms. How is that integrated? I mean, is API calls to the internet, or can you localize a retrieval augmented method that's running on a local machine so you're not on the internet? Let's say you're in a corporate environment and everything's very secure, and your autonomous agent needs to be accessing private information. You have ability to do that, to create a product for a client that stays more or less quarantined, but retains all the believability of the avatar and can access the private data that the company might have, and only reaches out to the internet if you give it permission.
That's right.
Maybe you could talk a little bit about that integration.
Yeah, so I mentioned briefly one of the technologies and products we have is called Synapse. And Synapse is an intelligent orchestration. Effectively what it's doing is it's determining where am I allowed to get my information from, and what is the large language model that I need to use in regards to creating language, right? It also holds all your prompt engineering. So for anyone that's obviously working with large language models, you're able to define all your prompt engineers around engineering around personality, so that the way the large language model is providing responses in text, that's also personality infused, right? So if there's a polite type of response, a high empathy type response. So in healthcare, instead of saying, can you give me more information, it will say something like, I'm really sorry you're going through that right now. If you can give me some more information, I'm sure we can find a way to treat, right? It's a very different way, and prompt engineering helps with that. And so we integrate using Synapse with all these different ways of creating logic, and RAG as well, right? Like, so if it's a priority to check the data source, understand, do you have the information here? Yes, if do, we prioritize RAG. We might wrap that in the LLM and then pass that through. And you can control where that is, if it's in your own data center, if it's a ChatGPT, depends on the business, the regulatory requirements, all of that is managed inside Synapse, which makes it super easy. Yeah, cool. We got another question at the back here.
Sure. What are the main metrics that would compel people to use your avatar, like around quality of service, the financial savings, the ROI, volume of new business, customer satisfaction, those kind of things?
Yeah, and so it is use case dependent, because obviously building this as a platform, we have different companies that use it in training. So then for training, it's a lot of training outcomes. So are they getting good engagement in the training, and are they getting good results like retention? So we have a lot of really strong metrics around engagement in online training, which is really important. And then the metrics around retention and score, we actually do things like role play. So you can actually practice with the digital human, we assess it, and then we can determine based on that scores of how effective does this person know this information, right? So if I'm onboarding you to be a sales guy at Tesla, as an example, you need to know your products. And so we can create a role play as a customer that you practice with, and we assess whether that's, you have actually got the right advice, are you asking good discovery questions, things like that. So that's on training. If it's sales, so like Deutsche Telekom, it's very much around customer satisfaction and conversion. So do people like the experience? Oh, and engagement, right? Are people coming in? So are you getting people selecting this as an experience? Is the conversion rate better than alternatives? So when we talk about 5.8 times higher conversion rate, that's higher than the next best alternative on the digital website. So that's a super important metric. And then customer service, we still have people that use digital humans around customer service, and that's very much about engagement and customer sat scores, like net promoter scores or customer satisfaction ratings. So that's probably the three main areas for us. Another one at the back.
Hi. Actually, my company runs an e-commerce website, and we're doing business in Germany and the US at the same time. Actually, I want to ask, because the loading speed of the web pages are very important for the bounce rate, right? And I think the American customers are kind of hasty in most of times. So, like, how much slower will this avatar cost to your website, and what will be the consequences if it's too slow?
Really good question. So this is the interesting observation that we've learned. So it is slower, there's no doubt, right? You still got to set up a WebRTC session in a site, and that can take up to 3 to 4 seconds. And that is a very important metric with e-commerce, right? Here's the interesting observation. The digital human, if you think about, again, left brain, right brain, the person who cares about the digital human, their number one priority isn't speed. Their number one priority is the fact that they don't feel confident to make a decision on their own. And so they actually are more the target audience. So what you find is those who just need speed, transaction, that's not your target audience. And when you assess who your audience is, who you're missing, so take one of our customers, Dell Technologies. I don't need to talk to a digital human to buy a laptop. I know everything I need to know about a laptop. But like my parents, or maybe someone you know, has no idea what a CPU is, a GPU is, that then becomes the most important channel to them, because now they can ask questions and have a conversation. And that's where most companies in e-commerce actually are missing a big chunk of their audience, is not actually getting addressed, and that becomes more important. So that's the interesting insight. And yeah, speed will come down, but that's where it is today. All right. Well, we're at time, guys. So thanks for tuning up today. I hope that was helpful. And as you saw earlier, we have a booth in the exhibit hall, so we'd love to see anyone who's got further questions. Thank you.